Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at MMercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
To award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones. Orlando, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
And all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Typing When Tipsy. My name is Nicole Mancha, and today he's not a new guest, he's been here before, but this time we're going to get a little more personal, and that is producer Mike Mercado.
Yeah, I'm definitely not new to it since, my name is on the network, right? Yeah, kind of a stranger around here.
Well, it's not that you're a stranger, but normally when we talk about stuff, it is producer Mike, co-host Mike. I mean, everybody knows we cohabitate, but we don't talk about it much. So since today is Valentine's Day, we're going to talk a little bit about love and relationships.
Oh, swoon. Oh, hearts.
Except our version, which is not super
Pizza.
romantic. Yeah,
Pizza.
basically.
Pizza and true crime.
It's kind of just what I live for. Like, you're there, right? You're in the other room. You're in this house.
There you
Great.
go.
Perfect.
So what do you got planned to torture with me today? On today's episode?
Well, nothing really. I actually just wanted to talk about, it's funny, we were talking about this in the office the other day because unfortunately I haven't hit the million, so I still have a regular job. And we were talking about Valentine's Day, and everyone was talking about their plans and who gets them stuff and what they get and things like that. And I happened to mention that you get me flowers fairly regularly.
Yeah, every few weeks.
And everyone was like, oh, really? And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, we still kind of like each other. Like, we don't have kids, so we don't have other things to worry about except for Mowgli, who
But
is...
even then.
Like, well, I mean, yeah.
Like, your attention obviously gets, like, diverted different places. Obviously, I mean, even without kids, like, just if you have a enticing career or with, if you're a fur parent or whatever the case may be. But, like, I just think your time gets deviated different. But, like, let's say you were a mother.
Yeah.
Your values change. So, like, right now, you don't need a lot. So, because we've been together so long, so, like, chocolates and flowers every once in a while or cleaning the house means a lot more. But if you're a mother, taking care of dinner one night, making sure the kids went to bed one night, like, different types of gestures, or getting a babysitter or getting the grandparents to take care of them. I think it's all about, like, the levels change. It's like when you're first dating, it's all about staying up till 3 a.m. on the phone, making that type of gesture.
Right.
But I think it just changes. Like right now for me, it's all about convenience. It's all about like, you know, when I get flowers for you, it's like, all right, well, you know, I'm out already. I'm thinking of you. I'm like, it's the little things. It's not like I'm over here doing the 10 things I hate about you. What is it? Yeah, 10 things I hate about you or not another teen movie where, you know, so it's like, I think it's just nice to make somebody feel like you thought of them.
Yeah, I think that's a really big part, and I think that's really important. I mean, I know I made you, I think on one of our earlier episodes, we talked about love languages and kind of how we read each other, and you are very much little gifts, like not a ton of, you don't need to put so much crazy effort in it. It just more like I thought of you when I was doing something, so I got you something, and I am more acts of service. But I think something to point out is that I understand what you're saying when it comes to, you know, when you're a parent, your time is divided and there are certain things that you do. I think it's important to note, though, that it's not about like, okay, it's my night to put the kids to bed, now it's your night to put the kids to bed. If that's something you do all the time, it's more what I normally do that you take over for me, which helps.
I mean, that could be anything. I could be taking out the garbage.
Right, but I think that's the important thing, because I think sometimes people think, well, you know, I did this, and it's like, well, no, you're expected to do that. I'm like, but if there's something like, if your wife normally likes to, like, comes home and cooks dinner. Well,
that's the problem, though, and I see where you're going with it. I think that's the problem, though, is right away we have to clarify it because there's so many pieces of craps in all types of relationship, men and women, whether, you know, it's a heterosexual, homosexual, what the case may be. Like, there's always that one asshole that you always hear about that doesn't hold their end of it, that aren't really a partner, that are more the leech of the relationship.
Yeah.
So you always have to kind of be like, well, look, this is what it means. Like, it's not, you know, I think what it is like, I hate having to clarify it because to me, like, our relationship should be kind of, not that all relationships be the same, but ours is very normal. It's a partnership. It's give and take. You do this, I do that. You know, sometimes sometimes you'll go warm up the cars because it's my weekend just started or my work week just started and vice versa. It's like, it's not about whose role is being defined. It's about helping each other out. That problem becomes, though, is because there's been so many shitty relationships over eons that you have to clarify it. And I'm like, oh, I forget. Not everybody has that relationship. Not everybody's able to be like, oh yeah, I don't worry about this or that because like we bounce it off each other, whatever's the case.
And I think there are certain things that you always do and I always do. So you 99% of the time take out the trash. Yeah. And it's more so because we both know I'm not going to the trash.
Well, like, there's a lot of things. Like you're really good about. Like, what you're really good about is keeping things. I don't even know how to say. I don't want to say organized. Like, okay,
I'm not clean.
Yeah, you're not clean. Like anything that's to do with cleanliness or organization or anything. Like, I think that's mostly me. Which, for a lot of people listening that are from my family, I think find that kind of funny because I was never like that. But that's the only way we would survive here and know that we have a dog.
100% true.
But the, it's interesting because things kind of they balance each other out because I'm very OCD about little things, but I'm much more calmer about the big picture. I'm to me, it's like it's day to day, whatever. You're much more of a bigger picture person. You're much more, you plan ahead much better. You plan vacations awesome. You plan school so much better. For me, like, I don't plan anything. Like everything that's any success I've ever had, any type of like good I've ever had, it's happened by the hair on my ass. Like I've never been one of these people that's, very meticulous about everything, but when it comes to like the relationship, like cleaning and stuff, like that's just a little microcosm of it where it's like, I hate when there's dirty dishes in the sink. I hate when the kitchen's a mess. I hate when there's clothes on the floor. I hate when there's stuff on the table. But there's also a satisfaction I get for cleaning it up.
Right.
So that's why I do it.
And I think it's like, you're very good at organizing. I'm very good at buying organizational tools.
Yeah.
I may not do it, but I also have like random spurts. Like a couple weeks ago when we had the polar vortex and I was losing my effing mind, I went and got all this stuff to organize the kitchen because I'm so sick of trying to. And I think the reason I do it is because I cook more and I cook daily. Like, not
necessarily for me, but
not necessarily for you. Yeah. Like, I mean, and people are probably just thinking, like, "Wow, this bitch!" Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't mind. Like, but here's the thing: I'm not. You could contest this. I'm a basic bitch. Sandwiches, 100%. Eggs, pizza, water, and a soda every once in a while, and my coffee. Like, I don't need anything. Like, me and Mowgli are very much the same. Right now, he's actually in the studio getting all the attention, but like, I'm very much like a human dog. Like, I am so basic, and as long as you pet my head every once in a while, like, I'm good.
Well, and so Mike is very much, it's funny because he doesn't like sandwiches for dinner, whereas I am a sandwich person for dinner because you eat it for lunch every day.
I eat for lunch every day.
So like that, you're done with it. You don't want it anymore. And for me, like I make a salad, but I cook eggs and I cook chicken. I do a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm constantly using stuff in the kitchen. So for me, I think it's a lot of, if I'm using it a lot, I want it cleaned and organized.
Nuts though, because I'm like, it's never simple with you. You know
No.
who's like that too is good brother, or my youngest brother, Marcos.
Yeah.
Everything is so complicated. Like, my mom makes fun of it, too. It's like, for me, for lunch, I can make a sandwich.
Yeah.
Make my 2 sandwiches, put it in the container, it's in the fridge. 15 minutes later, I'm done. And just enough time to listen to an interview, and I'm good. Nicole, it's a process. It's an hour-and-a-half process. It's literally dishes on dishes on dishes. And it's really not anything spectacular.
No.
It's like, it's all really like little stuff. And I'm like, how did you make such a mess for such unsatisfying food that at the end of the day you came home and you ate Wendy's with me? Like, what are we doing here? what is going on?
I'm 100% my father's daughter in that because he uses every pot and pan in the kitchen, and I am so bad about it. And I know I am, but you know what it is because for me, dinner is who cares? Like, dinner is just happens to be, because my fat ass wants to eat something, so like just the last meal of the day kind of thing.
I totally
but I truly enjoy my lunch, weirdly enough. Like, lunch is my meal. It is my middle of the day. I feel like I'm getting somewhere in my day.
I've never noticed that, but it sure as hell is. Like, you
really
go in on that.
I love my lunches, friend.
Which is funny because, like, I love breakfast meals, but I don't eat a lot of breakfast because I fast in the morning, and then obviously I'm up so early and I just drink my water, I drink my coffee. But that's interesting. I've never noticed that. I've always noticed that, but I've never clicked it. I'm like, oh, you know what? She totally is a lunch person. But that's the perfect example. Is like if you know, I don't even want to make it a generational thing, but there's so many people, not just men, but there's so many people who that would drive them crazy.
Oh yeah,
that would drive them insane. I'm like, yo, you're making your life more difficult. It's like, I'm lucky that I just so happen to enjoy putting, you know, the years of playing Tetris. I enjoy putting, you know, the dishes in the dishwasher. You know, like, it's weird. Like, it's a weird complex that I have. So like I'm able to get past that. But like, you're a pig when it comes to like the bathroom stuff too. Like, you leave stuff all hanging all over the sink and stuff. But again, I get grossed out. Just in general, not just with your stuff,
kind of
like,
just with me,
but just kind of with you. But like, I get grossed out easy. Like, I'm one of these dudes. Like, I just get grossed out. Like, I won't eat something off a counter.
Oh,
like, I'm just one of those guys. Like, and I'm not a germaphobe. I played baseball. Like, I'm not a germaphobe, but like, there's certain things that are like, my mind plays tricks with me, and all of a sudden I can't hold it down.
I've literally eaten things off our floor.
Yeah, see, I won't do that. I won't do that.
Mowgli and I'll share shit. I mean, it's fine.
Well, like, let's just say, like, you know, if I cleaned the board op table and I drop something on the board op table after I've already cleaned it, I'll eat it. It's like, whatever. But like, even if I know it's a dirty ass table, and I know it's a dirty ass table, but my mind makes it okay after I've cleaned it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a weird little. So it works good with you because like you're just a walking disaster.
I'm literally a walking disaster, and that's not even a joke. And we're gonna end up getting like way into that, but like it's true, people. But the one thing I wanted to ask you is because we're talking just about relationships in general. It's not really anything Valentine's Day, but just partnerships and relationships.
It's just Valentine's Day. I'm just on the show this special.
How is it being with somebody who is so ready to do anything? If you said let's go to Spain tomorrow, I would pack my bag, get on the plane, and head out like without a thought. Not that you're not like that, but you, first of all, just traveling in general, you're not a great traveler, and you get in your head before we even leave. Well, like we haven't even booked the ticket.
Right. Well, not just that. I also don't like being anywhere too long. Like, I'm just one of those guys. Like, you know who I've kind of found my spirit animal in is Brendan Schaub. He's kind of the same way. And he said something kind of dumb. He's like, well, I could just Google images. Like, you know, it's not the same. Like, it's not the same to Google image Spain than being in Spain, obviously. But there is something to be like, look, being in Spain will be great. You know, the journey itself is great, and you feel great after you've already done it. But the saving the money for it, the planning for it, then just the tediousness of getting through O'Hare, being in that aluminum foil that's 32,000 feet in the air, and being uncomfortable because we're poor. I want to talk about somebody who's rich that's like, dude, that plane ride sucks. Now, we're normal poor people, so our plane ride's going to be even worse. And then you get there, and you enjoy it, whatever. You know, it's a great vacation. But then you got to do all that shit going back. And it's like, look, to me, it's just, you're right, I do get in my head when it comes to that, but I feel, you want to know what it is, too, and it's a total cop-out, but I already feel worldly.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're not. So
but I am worldly. Though. Like, I mean, I am worldly. Like, I traveled around the world, a lot of different places. I've been exposed to a lot of cool things, and I'm open-minded to a lot of different things. So I feel like, and sorry, Mom, if you're listening, I've done a lot of hallucinogens and stuff like that. So I've been open to things that, I don't feel stuck. Like, I know there's people who feel like they have to get somewhere because they've never been anywhere.
Yeah.
Or like they feel like they've been stuck in their small town. I've never felt like that. I've been the guy who's walked up and said, all right, I'm moving in with this girl and I'm moving to a place I've never been to.
That's
so it's like,
true.
It's not about like not wanting to do it. It's like I'm just an open person. Like I feel like I'm open-minded and just my spirit is open to everything.
Yeah, and I think it's funny because it was that question that I asked you, and I'm like, do you just want to be here for the rest of your life? And you're like, well, no, but that's not the same thing. And I guess for me, and I grew up in Chicago, so I grew up in the city, and like there was always
the most major, the place that people move to.
Right, exactly. And so, well, now they're moving out of,
but like if you ever think about it, it's not like.
But people come visit Chicago.
Like, exactly, it's
all
not
over
like
the
you're
world.
living in Dayton, Ohio. Like you're from Chicago. It's like being from New York and Los Angeles and Miami. It's like, of course, when you're in your hometown, even if it is Chicago, it feels like a hometown because you're in a neighborhood.
Yeah,
but it's still people move. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It's not like
well, it's like when people ask, "Oh my God, so you get to go to the Field Museum every weekend?" I'm like, nobody who lives here does that.
That's what exactly.
I'm like, nobody who lives here goes to Navy Pier unless they have to because they've gone on 17 field trips to these places because it's you go to school in the city. Like, but I think for me, it was always my mom was always a travel bug, and she really instilled it in us that. You don't ever want to feel stuck in a place that you live. You want to always know that you can go other places. And it's why, like, we've had that conversation. Like, if I get an offer once I graduate for a professorship somewhere else and they're paying really well, it's like an actual consideration because it's like, not only for the experience, but just in general. And that's why that was a legitimate conversation because I'm like, I need to know if this is a possibility.
Right. And, like, I don't think it's ever been... I don't think it's a decision one way or the other. Like, that's the thing, too. I'm okay with, I mean, you were alluding into earlier. It's like, I don't feel stuck here.
Right.
Like, I don't feel stuck here. Like, I don't feel like I'm burdened to anything. No. And, like, that's the thing, too. Like, that's the difference. And it goes back to kind of Russell Westbrook, who's a really great NBA player, point guard for the Oklahoma City Thunder, he tweeted it. Somebody asked him about critics. He's like, I've been blessed with the talent to not give a fuck about critics.
Yeah.
And that's me. Like, I've honestly just I've been blessed with the talent to just kind of like, just not give a shit when it comes to life. Like, I get annoyed. We're all human. I get annoyed. I get angry. I get pissy, whatever. But, like, in general, I'm pretty happy-go-lucky.
Yeah.
Life is pretty easy. Like, I don't,
you do have an easy life.
It's an easy life. So, to me, like, I don't feel restrained to anything. I've done pretty cool stuff. Like, and I think that's the difference too, right? I felt even in just the 28 years I've lived here in this planet, I've lived a long, really cool life. I have already kind of like a weird, you know what it is too, is a little while back, so this comedian, Kevin Butler, passed away. He's from New York, and a lot of the podcasts that I listened to on Last Podcast Network, he was friends with them. He was Broad City, the writer for Broad City.
Right.
So really up-and-coming dude, and they mentioned it. They were talking about, like, well, there's hours and hours of his audio because he was on a podcast with them. And it kind of hit me, too. I'm like, when I go, whether it could be tomorrow or 50 years from now, there's literally thousands of hours of me just pouring, even on an episode like this, just a random episode of a random podcast on a random Valentine's Day. There's literally thousands of hours of me pouring my soul, my heart, my thoughts, everything, because you know me, like, I do put everything I have in everything anytime I record.
Yeah.
That's there. Like, that doesn't go away. So to me, like, I don't feel like, man, I'm going to die in Elk Grove Village. I'm going to die in Des Moines, Iowa. I'm going to die in wherever the case may be. It's like, no, I'm going to live. It sounds kind of weird and crazy, but it's like, I'm going to live forever everywhere.
Yeah.
I am everywhere.
No, and I think that makes sense. I think for me, it's, and I don't even want to say stuck in Illinois because I do want to, I want to experience different things, but that's just because I've always been that type of person who enjoys being a part of everything. That's what it is. I love to be a part of everything going on, but it's also for me, just in general, I am so in love with the history and age of things. So for me to like not go to someplace like Spain or London or Italy, it just feels like a wasted. We have the opportunity to do it, which was not the case necessarily 100 years ago. It was much more difficult. It was much more.
It was still happening.
It was happening, but it was
difficult,
very difficult.
Yeah.
And it's like we just have the ease of being able to do it now. And for me, it's like to not go somewhere where you can be around something thousands of years old. For me, it feels like that's a waste for me to not experience it.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think it is a waste of a resource, but it's also not the end of anything.
No.
Like that's the thing, too, is like what's important to somebody isn't necessarily important to somebody else. And like that's the crazy thing about just the existence of being human. It's like the perspective of everything. You know, yesterday, if you guys are listening to this on Valentine's Day, the Chicago Cubs are going to have their own network now, the Marquee Network.
Okay.
And it's owned by Sinclair. Sinclair is a prominent, conservative, right-wing leaning media corporation, and they've invested a lot of money in politics and stuff like that. And obviously in Chicago and a lot of different stations and in today's climate, they're really going against it. They're bashing against it. But if you're just, let's say, some dad from Iowa who just so happens to have religious beliefs and be a conservative American, your perspective is, well, yeah, they're owned by a reputable billion-dollar media corporation.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective in life and what's important to you. But I just told you this, and, you're doing your best to kind of be interested in it. But, like, anybody who's not a sports fan, this is just the truth. You kind of get a glaze over it because it's not important. What's important about the Cubs having their own $6 network? Who cares who owns it? We have bigger issues to fry. And, like, that's the importance of it. To me, a lot of my audience, on the different shows on this network, that's the biggest thing that's going on in all of it.
Oh, yeah.
You see, and, like, that's for everything. To some people, Rome is as good as Gladiator. Fuck, I saw Gladiator, that's it.
Yeah.
To some people, it's like, no, I want to see how they flooded the Colosseum. I want to see how they did the irrigation system. I want to see the roads. I want to see where life began if you go to Africa. Like, I get all that, but both things can be true.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that because I do. We've talked a little bit because people think that some of the stuff I've done in, like, my undergrad was really cool. And it was really cool. However, if I sit down and talk to you about the fact that I spent, a week digging up pottery and then wrote a 15-page paper on it, you're done. Like, that's not that interesting. It's like
cool.
It's cool, but it's like, okay, so who cares about if it was printed or hand done or textured or whatever?
The minute details of it it's like anything, right? It's like the minute details of something, unless you're interested in that subject, kind of just come and go. But the subject may not be boring. The subject may be dope as hell. I mean, just in general, the Greek civilization is totally worth any type of deep dive into it. But I don't necessarily care about page 7 of a weird pieces yet, right? About the pottery you found. But if you told me this pottery was used as a piss can by the gladiators or was used by, as a bath thing for, Caesar or whatever the case may be, well, it's a little bit more interesting. You're like, that's dope. That's cool. And then you're able,
Yeah, and I think it's also that idea of, like, I am very in awe of everything like that.
Sure.
So when I was holding, like, the bottles on San Salvador, they were 300 years old. And some people would be like, okay, but they're bottles to no-namers. And I'm like, right, but for me, I'm standing in the place where they were holding it 300 years ago, and how is that not mind-blowing to you?
Absolutely.
And some people just are just like, well, I mean, it's cool, I guess, but it's not. And to me, it was like an out-of-body experience in the moment that I didn't think I would have necessarily. So I can definitely see that as being the difference between it. I mean, like, the one thing I will say that I am very grateful for is I've known friends and couples who don't travel alone, and you're like, bye, see ya. If you want to go somewhere, like, before we started this show, I completely forgot I did not tell him that I was going to a conference in Georgia in May, and he's like, oh, okay, when are you going? Great, cool, we'll write it down.
What's up, friends? Mike here from Mercado Airwaves. If you missed any one of our past interviews with amazing guests like future Hall of Famer and pound for pound best fighter in the world, UFC flyweight champion Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson,
Another day at the office, I get to go out there and test my skill.
to award-winning producer, director, and actor Orlando Jones,
Orlando, how you doing,
Hey,
buddy?
sir. I'm good, brother. How you doing?
and all the other interesting guests we've had on. Joining us today is director and writer David Ferrier.
Thanks so much, brother. I appreciate you having me on the show.
MMA legend Chael Sonnen joins us today.
Keep listening to your show. This is great. Thanks, my friend.
Just subscribe to us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. And while you're there, please like, review, and rate us, friends. It helps so much. We also have a Patreon for anyone who would like to support the show. Just visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves and see how you can get all of our interviews ad-free and before anyone else, and how you can get your business or company spotlighted on the show. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. And if you would like to see what we're up to behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Thanks for listening and all the support.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airways crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at mmercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.
Well, I mean, life is crazy, right? Tons of bad things could happen and anything. Like, of course, I could sit here being worse. Like, she's going to work alone without me. How's she gonna manage? I'm like, well, shit, what am I gonna do? You know, like, if something bad's gonna happen to her, something bad's gonna happen to me. Like, it's not. It's a weird thing that, like, look at, and like I'll keep shit 100% real. This is Typing When Tipsy. You know, I'm having myself a Linguitas Maximus ale. Look at, if you don't trust somebody, right? How can you sleep peacefully at night? Like, this is just me in my heart. I sleep like a mother-loving baby.
You can swear on Typing When Tipsy. We allow it.
I can swear right on the network. You know this, like, I don't look at it. It's so weird because when I was a teenager, 18, 19, even before that, like, I used to say a lot of white lies because I tried to fit in. You know, I didn't grow up with these kids over in the suburbs. You know, I didn't grow up with them. So, like, I did whatever I could to fit in.
Right.
But, like, I can honestly say, like, as a grown man, and especially when it's counted, like, I don't have a guilty conscience.
Yeah.
Like, I don't lie. It's a weird feeling knowing that, like, you know, I'm good. Like, I sleep at night.
Yeah.
Cool. Like, I don't have guilty conscience. I don't have monkeys on my back. I don't have chips on my shoulders that aren't career related, that aren't, like, ambition related, but, like, something with a friend. Like, I could look my friends in the eye and not have guilt. I could look at you in the eye and not have guilt. I could look at my brothers and my parents and my family members and not have guilt.
Right.
That's something that, like, when you say I'm going to Georgia, it's like, look, if you can go to Georgia and you can get trifling with me, right? And then come back and look me in the eyes and go the rest of your life. And I'm talking, just live with that in your spirit and with your heart. That's a different type of low that, like, you can't even get angry about. You can't get worked up about. You're like, there's nothing I can do about that. That's just, I don't want to say evil, but that's whatever that's diabolical.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, we want to get graphic. Like, it's like when a dude sleeps with this random girl and then sleeps with his wife right afterwards, but doesn't take a shower. Yeah. Like, it's just that slime, that sleaze, that, like, yo, if you're going to go to Georgia to meet some other dude, like, you ain't got to do all that. Like, you know, like, let me know. And you can stay here. Like, you got to spend $200 on a plane, right? Like, it's that type of thing. Like, it's just, it's more along the line. So, for me, it's like, yo, go do your thing. Like, you know, I don't want you going to Jamaica for 6 days without me. I'm like, well, shit, you know, I'll go to Jamaica. Like, you know, I don't want you going to a party place without me because, like, I want to party too. Yeah. But, like, if you're going to, like, fucking Seattle or Georgia or even, like, you know, like, me and Lady Mancha are going to London for 6 days. Take a picture of Big Ben for me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's certain shit like that, like, I don't,
Right, and I think it's like, obviously, especially because,
well, I'm sorry to interrupt, but would you like, it's the perfect example of when me and Mr. Lonsky go to Vegas.
Oh, bye.
Right? Like, what, like, but can you imagine, though? Could you imagine if you were ever trifling, right? And I was gone somewhere. You're not going to be able to sleep.
No.
Because what are you thinking the whole time? What's he doing?
Right.
What's he up to? Because guess what I would be doing if I were alone with my home girl in Las Vegas? That's where the problem comes in. That's where when every time it's like, hey, I'm going to go have drinks with so-and-so. Man, have a good time. Can you bring me back mozzarella sticks? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, like, you know what? If I was going out with any of my homies, like, we're not doing anything. Like, when I see I'm at Wrigley Field, I'm at Wrigley Field.
And I think it's funny because I never worry about where you're at. And this is not to be like, please don't think that we have like this perfect relationship. We definitely don't. No. It's just there was a time, I think, in my own personal life, and I don't speak on Mike's because I wasn't there for it, but on my own personal life where there were people I didn't trust. And there was a situation where I didn't feel like where they said they were when they said they were there, and I'm like, and that made me want to ask questions and want to snoop around and do stuff, and like, and I don't like to do that.
But
I don't
there's
have
a
that
bloodhoundism.
Like, 100%.
Like, we're all bloodhounds. So like when we like, oh, what's that? You're like, oh, it may not be nothing. It may not be nothing, but something just whipped up a little bit. Let me just make sure.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be crazy, but just from my, like, that's okay. That stuff's okay. But it's when like the whiff becomes like a scent, then becomes a trail, and then you're like, oh shit, this was something.
Yes.
Like, that's totally different. Like I wholeheartedly understand that. Like that.
Right. And the thing is, but I will say that since we've been together and since we became exclusive, because before then it wasn't really my business. Like you went to Western, and like there was stuff I wasn't gonna know about. So I'm like, I can be upset, but it doesn't really make sense for me to be upset because we haven't exclusively made this anything. Sure. But it's like there's that idea that like after that, I mean, like since then, I'm like, I haven't. The only time, and it's funny because I remember I texted you and I was on the phone with one of my friends, and they were like, oh, you're trying to figure out where he's at? And I'm like, no, I'm worried because if he's supposed to be home around this time, and if he's not, I'm concerned because we are very scheduled humans.
And like, but here's what then the thing comes into it too. I was talking to a friend of the show, Lewis, about this. I'm like, Lewis, about this. Lewis. I mentioned to him, I'm like, we don't bombard each other with text messages. So when you text me like, hey, are you okay? Hey, where are you? Like, hey, what time are you coming home? It's so random. Sometimes it's just like, so I don't mind answering that question because it's like, you don't hound me. No. So it's like when you're asking me like, hey, are you home yet? Or hey, are you on your way home? Or hey, I know you're actually concerned. Like that's the difference. Like it's a difference when somebody asks you that question because they think you're stepping on them. But it's another thing when you text me that, it's because you're genuinely asking, like, hey, are you home? How's Mowgli? Is the house okay? What are we doing for dinner? Like, it's concerned stuff. It's not just like, what are you doing? Oh, you're having fun with your friends? Well, I'm at work, so you're not going to get to have fun with your friends because I don't get to have fun with my friends.
Yeah, and I think that's something to be said, too, is that, like, one thing I try to do as well is, like, you're normally home, let's just say 4 o'clock. I'm not texting you till 5. Like, 4:45, 5 o'clock, like, hey, is everything cool? Sure. I'm not texting you at 4:05. Sure. Like, you're normally home at 4. Did you stop for gas? Like, you know what I mean? There's
something also, too, about allowing people to have their fun.
Yeah.
I will never bother you. Like, if you're going to hang out with anybody, I'm just like, go have fun. Like, what? Like, I'll never understand it because, like, we've had friends that just don't have that benefit of, like, it shouldn't even be a benefit. It's like, you're a grown human girl. Right. Like, I'm not going to tell you to, like, don't do this or don't do that. It's like, because then I think, could I ever imagine her telling me I can't do something? Like, right. And you know what it comes into? And this is where, we mentioned about, like, when you're traveling out, never worrying about it. It's like, even if something was to ever happen, let's say mutually or something bad was to happen, right?
Yeah.
Fact remains, I have confidence in myself. Yeah. I know my worth. So it's like, unfortunately for a lot of people who define themselves on relationships because they don't have confidence in themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They don't love themselves. They need to find love from others. They
need validation.
Exactly. I'm like, I have never felt that way. I did, I shouldn't say never. I have felt that way before. I've never felt that way with you because like I felt like, oh, you know what? It was like a puzzle piece. It was like, oh shit, this feels right. That's different. You know, like it never felt forced or anything. So like there is a weird kind of like, all right, even if something's happened, like I'm not going to be broken. Like it will be devastating, but like I'm not going to be broken because
I'm taking Mowgli.
Yeah, right. But like I'm not like if you ever went with somebody else, I would it would suck. But at the same time, like well, you know what I would see it in. Maybe it's just like I would see it as another opportunity. You know me, like I would just see it as like the next opportunity, like it's the next thing to do.
And to veer from that a little bit is that I think I kind of realized how different it was than a lot of other things when we had talked, and I was like, so if I get an opportunity to do my PhD somewhere else, like what are we gonna do? And your thing was like, well, it'll depend on where you go, it'll depend on how much money there is, if there was even a possibility of me working there. But otherwise, then I would stay here. And I took it as that mean that we would break up, and you were just kind of like, no, like that just means we'll figure it out. And if you need to be gone for 3 years for this, then maybe the first year I stay here, figure out what I'm going to do, move out. Like we'll figure it out. Like I'm not worried about it.
Now and this is where it comes. It's too easy to leave and to just kind of stop because like it's more convenient. You just stop. Now, you can't, if you give it an honest try, a legit honest try, and you try everything and it doesn't work out.
That's different.
That's different. Like that. But when, like, right away, like, when you said it, I'm like, oh, well, cool, now we got 2 homes. It's like, it's like my mind thought was like, oh, shit, we got 2 homes. Like, all right, like, how are we going to swing that? Because it's not even a selfish thing. It's like, my career's all this. It's like, well, no, if I can't get over there and make the same amount of money and still be happy in my career, because at this point in my life, I'm not willing to sacrifice not being happy in my own job. If I had a kid and it came down to like, no, you got to pay for your kid's heart transplant, knock on wood, I'm going to go do whatever the job is. Like, that's different than like, well, because Nicole's thing's over here, you not got to drop everything you've worked the last 10 years since you were 21 years old.
Right.
So it's like, no, because she understands, because I would never ask her to do that. But what I would ask her to do is like, work with me. Just like I would do for her. I would work with her. Whether that means, okay, well, I'm going to get some frequent flyer myers out nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you got to be willing to do it. But what happens if you became a famous author? Or I wrote a screenplay? Or this podcast got big? It's like traveling is part of life. Like, that's what it is. Like, people aren't home all the time.
No.
Successful people aren't, at the very least.
Yeah, and I think that for me, that made a really big difference, too, is to have someone who is flexible in what I wanted to do, and that was as supportive as I was always in all of my relationships, because I always felt like I was extremely supportive, and I was not supported well. And so that definitely weighed on it, and it ended up me kind of drifting and just not being a part of anything anymore, and that's always a very unfortunate feeling, I think. But with us, it's always been support on both sides, making sure that we're checking in and saying, hey, are we good? Are you good? Is everything cool? Great.
We're proactive though in a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not very, I don't express my feelings initially, but I'm always at the very least like, you can always tell what's the word I'm looking at? I think one of the biggest problems of failed relationships is when somebody doesn't seem interested or invested.
Yeah.
I'm like, I always make sure that everybody knows, like, I'm invested. I may not necessarily want to talk about anything. I may be in a crabby mood. You may be in a pissy mood. I just may not give it 2 flying shits. So that happens because my personality is weird like that. I got a disorder. I don't know. But what I do know is, like, I'm going to show my investment because there's nothing worse than talking to somebody who doesn't seem to care.
Yeah.
And that's where the danger comes in, because that's when relationships was like, well, if you don't give a shit, why do I care?
Right. And I think that was also a turning point, is when I was like, well, you don't want to talk about these things. And you're like, just because I don't talk about them doesn't mean I don't think about them.
Yeah.
It's just that I don't talk about a lot of things, because I think a lot of it, too, is that when you were younger, you lived in cramped quarters. Everyone was always together. You had to kind of talk about shit because you're so on top of each other. And now we have the space to... You get to have your own sense of space and your own sense of being alone.
Right. And, like, look, I think there's also, and this is just my thing, and it's not right. It's not right, but it's just my thing. What I believe, too, is, like, I can't take back anything I ever say, good or bad. If I say something just amazing and stoic, and I may have just gotten lucky and pulled something out of my ass, and, like, you can't replicate that. You can't take that back. Or if I see something like a complete asshole that I didn't mean, you can't take that back. I'd rather be a little bit more, okay, Nicole and I are having this conversation. I'm not necessarily, she wants to talk about this. I don't necessarily want to say everything, but I am interested. I want her to know that I hear what she's saying, so on and so forth. it's better to say less and show more than say a lot and show less.
Yeah.
You know, like, I can say anything, but if you're telling me, like, Mike, I hate that you leave your you haven't said this because you leave your socks here, but if you're like, Mike, I hate that you leave your socks here and it embarrassed me because it showed up in one of my videos for school. And I gave you an hour diatribe of why I will never do that again and why I'm a scumbag for leaving my socks there and how it's just so unsanitary. But the very next day, it's still sitting there. Opposed to, man, why is she complaining to me? I worked all day. I know she worked too, but it's like, man, like, can we just, like, chill? Can we just watch Supernatural? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then clean the sock up.
Yeah.
And leave it alone. I'd rather that than say something mean. I'd rather say, because look, we're human. We say stupid shit. Like, you say stupid shit to people that you feel most comfortable with.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's the problem. So, like, I've learned, like, look, my words hurt because I could put a good promo together.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do it. Like, Alex said it on a past episode when we were talking about, I believe it was the boxing episode on Murder, Mysteries, and More. You have a responsibility when you have certain talents and traits. I've been blessed with the talent of the mic. I can make, like, great CM Punk said in wrestling. To a lot of people, this is just a microphone. But with me, this is a pipe bomb. And that's the responsibility you have to have.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point to make, is because you can't take anything back. Things do, come out, they're said, and it is what it is. And it's something that just in general, I think I've had to kind of be more comfortable with, because I am a talker and I want to talk about everything and our emotions and our lives and how things are going to be. And which is needed, but you're very, like, sitting there and you look like someone has literally just thrown sparkles and unicorns everywhere, and you're looking all over at those things. But it's because it's like, I go on the diatribe.
Sure.
And, like, I think I also show, but I can do both because that's where my talents lay.
Right. And I think that the difference I've taught myself to hear. It's like, I don't have to necessarily be engaged to hear you, because one of the qualities that's made me a successful interviewer and broadcaster is I can hear certain things. So you could talk for an hour and you may have said the same thing for an hour, but I know what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I know what we're talking about. I know what you're getting at. This is for anybody. This is for friends. This is for interviews. This is with you. It's you always want to be invested in the sense of, like, I'm here for you. And I'm going to, if you want me just to be ears, I'm going to just be ears. If you want my opinion, I'll give you my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm also not going to bullshit you and pretend like I'm having the greatest time listening to the conversations. Like, I'm there. I'm here. I'm here. I may be looking at the game going on, but trust me, I'm listening to you. Like,
right.
That's not everybody. Like,
no.
I know that isn't everybody. And I get more often than not when that happens is people are just ignoring you.
Yeah.
But, like, luckily, I've done it. People know me well enough. We're like, well, yeah, no, Mike can actually do that. That's his job. Like, his job is to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah, and I think with you, you have your friends who you're really close to, and there are certain ones that are the closest. But with your family and with me, I always feel like it's this weird kind of dynamic that happens, because it wasn't like this when we first started dating, because you were still trying to please me and impress me. So, but now I notice it a lot more, is where your automatic reaction is to shut something down. Like,
what sense?
Well, in the sense of, like, if I, like, want something that you're not really feeling, it gets shut down. But then, like, 20 minutes later, you're like, I don't know why I said that. It's fine. Like, we can do that, because it's like and sometimes I think it's because that's association with, like, the only people I think that you're as close to are your siblings.
Yeah.
And it's always being shut down. Well,
like, with you, it's like, again, I'm lucky because, again, this doesn't happen for everybody, but, like, I also know what my safety nets are. So, like, even though if I say no, my no doesn't mean anything, just because, like, when I say no, honestly, it's a bad word. So it's bad word usage, because I'm not really saying no. I'm saying, okay, I need to think about what you just said and, like, process it in my mind.
Yeah.
It's not a no. It's like, oh, what? No, I'm not painting a wall right now. You know what I'm like? That's what I heard. Even though you said, hey, how about we paint that wall blue? It's like, what I heard is like, shut the game off and let's paint this, or stop playing Resident Evil, or stop, get off the internet or something. You've never said that before, but just my mind goes to, like, I don't care about the paint right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist in my head. It's just the wall. No. But then I think I'm like, wait, no, the wall would look kind of good, that color. Oh, shit, you know what? She would do it all by herself. Why do I care about blue? Yeah, go do it to your heart's desire. I don't care.
And that was the funny thing. Right, with that conversation. I like to make you think you're involved in the conversation.
Literally, folks, this is seriously it. Like, there's some things where, like, I obviously, just as a human, like, I want to be a part of. But for the most part, I'm one of these dudes and just one of these humans. I'm like, why the fuck you asking me?
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you asking me? Like, don't ask me.
And there are things like with when I was bugging him about getting another dog, which is still happening. And it was like, he's looking at me and he's saying no. And I'm like, if I bring home a dog, he's not going to argue. He's just going to be like, I guess we have another fucking dog.
Look, but like, here's the thing though, that kind of stuff does though, and like not necessarily just a dog, but like anything in general. It's like those kind of scenarios do bring in tension that you weren't expecting.
Oh,
like you can't account for something like that. Like the solution to the equation that's written on the chalkboard of the relationship doesn't take into account randomness. That is that. It's an equation. The equation doesn't take into account randomness. Something like that, even if it's not a dog. Let's say it's a car. Let's say it's anything, like just anything at all that's some kind of significance like that, that's randomness that you don't know how somebody's going to handle it.
No.
I would never just do something random like that.
No,
like,
that's not you. Wouldn't. But that's not you.
But like, even if it was me, I just, like, to me, you don't do those things. Even if you know what my reaction would be, it's like, why would you do that? Why would you just come home and like, it's not, it's funny in movies and it's funny in sitcoms, but it's like, that's real life. Like, you talk about moving and you talk about work and and I'm not just talking about pets, but it's that idea of the randomness, like, oh, he won't mind or he'll come around. It's like, well, we're not 60 and retired like my grandmother was when she did it with her dog. It's like, we have lives. I'm not even 30 yet. Like, I don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So it's randomness. Any type of randomness, you just don't know how a human's going to react to it.
Right. But it's this, what I'm saying more so is the fact when you say no, and I'm like, well, this is not a no. First of all, this is our house and our decision. So, like, your no is not the, well, I said no and this is not going to happen anymore.
Put my foot on the ground bullshit. I don't believe in putting my foot on.
Right. Well,
the only humans I can ever put my foot down on are my kids. It's like, and I don't have those. So I don't have the right to say to anybody, like, foot is down, you can't do this.
And the only time don't listen.
The only time I could ever do that is maybe in this podcast. And even then, I really can do that.
No, we don't really go for it. But thank you so much for being on the show. I think we covered kind of a lot of stuff, and it was kind of a just mishmashed episode. But that was fun. Yeah, I wanted to do something different and do something like that kind of talked about our relationship. People hear us talk about it all the time in the passing of the cohabitation. So
all the different shows, you always hear it. Alex makes fun of it.
Alex makes fun of it all the time, which is weird because like Alex is my actual best friend.
Which is weird. So Nicole, I don't know if you've heard, but before we go and get out of here, so the awesome people in New York City, I don't know if a lot of your listeners personally over at Typing When Tipsy, but over at Sports from the Couch, we get a lot of really dope interviews with UFC champions, WWE superstars, so on and so forth. We've had celebrities on, Oscar winners, so on and so forth. But the company J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot produced this epic Nazi-fighting zombie movie called Overlord. We got a bunch of digital copies. And we're giving them away over on the network. We've done a bunch of cool, I've done a bunch of videos on it. We're trying to find ways to get them up. And the Blu-ray expires in May, so we got a few months to get rid of them. But I'm going to give one away on today's episode of Typing When Tipsy.
Thank you.
So let's find a way to give this one out. So I'm pulling it out right now. This is one of the digital codes that's going to be for Typing When Tipsy listener. We need to find a way to have them win it. So you know your audience better than anybody. You're always on social media with your author group and your writing group and your wine connoisseurs. What is a cool way that we could get rid of them so that maybe they give it to, their lover or spend a night watching zombies with each other?
Well, what I'd love for you to do if you want to be considered for it is I know that there's a lottery kind of puller when you write comments on, I have to set it before we start the video, but if you would comment on this video and say zombies, zombie love, or zombies, either one.
And where do you want them to do that? On social media? We're on social media.
Yes, we will do it on Facebook Live when we post it.
Okay.
And then we will also do it on my Instagram, which is Typing When Tipsy.
Which one? Okay, so are you going to tell them which one you're going to look at first? Or are you going to, because we're only going to get rid of one on this episode. So only one, whether from either Facebook Live or Instagram when you post it. So is there a hint you want to give them, or is it just random and they gotta just like?
It's just gonna be random. It's gonna be random. You gotta comment, like, and share, and then which I'm gonna pull.
So comment, like, and share at Tipsy
on Instagram. It's Typing When Tipsy.
So just Typing When Tipsy on Instagram. So you gotta like them
and
there.
And then the Facebook.
And then on Facebook, go like us on Mercado Airwaves. And then when the episode of Typing When Tipsy's Valentine's Day episode so you guys can enjoy this Valentine's Day with zombies. Use the word zombies, like, share, and we'll pick out a winner. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right, go ahead, take us home.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Typing When Tipsy. As always, I am Nicole Mancha, and I want to thank you all for listening to this wonderful, lovely Valentine's Day episode. Like we said, please, please, please like and comment if you would like to try to win this zombie Overlord. And also you can do the like and comment on Instagram on Typing When Tipsy.
Very cool. So Overlord, we got the digital copy. Nicole has it, so make sure you guys like her on Instagram, like us on Facebook. She'll keep an eye on it, and she'll give us a winner, and we'll send you the information you need for Overlord by Bad Robot.
Sounds
Nicole,
good.
thank you so much for letting me be on Typing When Tipsy.
Thanks for being on. Good night, everybody.
Enjoy our shows? Follow the Mercado Airwaves crew all over social media. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. On Instagram, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado2121. Mike is at Mike Mercado2333. And our true crime show is at Murder Mysteries and More. And on Twitter, Nicole is at Typing When Tipsy. Alex is at Mercado21Alex. And Mike is at MMercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Follow our pop culture show on Twitter at Good Brothers Pod. Get us on the go by downloading our programs anywhere you get your favorite podcast, like iTunes, SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and other popular sites. Just search us at Mercado Airwaves. While you're at it, please like, rate, review, and share us with your friends. Visit us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Click the subscribe and like button to get notified every time a new episode or interview is posted. Support Mercado Airwaves by visiting patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves, the home of our interviews with athletes and celebrities, which you can get ad-free and early before it's released to the public. Come play video games with us on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Mercado Airwaves Network. Mercado Airwaves is powered by Munch Art Design. Like them on Facebook at Munch Art Design. Voiceover work on Mercado Airwaves is performed by Josh Fox.